guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I will be going over the Webex Assistant voice commands and how it works from creation to editing to delivery. My made-up scenario is a company creating a logo for a company's rebranding. One might say that is a popular topic here in Webex land. I'll go ahead and get started. Attached to this demo will be the guide on how to enable the Webex Assistant for your org. Once enabled and configured for your site, your Webex Assistant is on the bottom left of your meeting client. If it's off like I have mine, you can simply hover the gray icon and select the blue icon here, and a verbal indication will be provided.
Webex Assistant is enabled to save audio highlights.
Like that. When I open the caption and highlights pane, I am greeted with a message about the benefits of the cloud recording saving full captioned transcripts. Without it, the assistant can still capture the highlights and store them in the cloud. However, the full caption of the meeting will not be saved without the recording running. For this demo, I'm definitely going to turn the recording on to get the full benefits of highlights and transcription services, both free services within Webex. Alright, so I'm just going to jump right in and start taking some notes. Okay, Webex, create an agenda for this meeting to review the full design for the customer's rebranded logo.
Okay, the agenda is set.
We give it 1 to 2 seconds and it'll show up like this. Now I'll show you a few more highlights, and then I can show you exactly what we did with them. Okay, Webex. The customer is looking for a review of our mockup within the next 2 weeks. Highlight that.
Highlight added.
Okay, Webex. Create a decision to move forward with a bright color palette instead of dark. Did you guys catch that? The intelligence of the assistant realized it added the wrong word and corrected itself. Check it out one more time.
Okay, decision created.
Okay, Webex. Create a task to have Mark complete steps 1 through 3, Marcy to complete steps 4 through 6, and Nate to complete steps 7 through 10.
Got it. Task added.
Okay, Webex. In summary, we are to complete steps 1 through 5 this week and 6 through 10 by next week in order to be ready to present to the customer on time.
Got it. Summary added.
Alright, meeting's over. Let's check out some post-meeting capabilities. When the meeting is done, there are 2 ways of sharing and 1 way of editing. If the meeting was recorded, the contents, including highlights, transcript, and recording, will show in the recording portion of the Meetings tab. You select the I to check out the contents, or you can share this out by selecting the up arrow and selecting a person or space. However, if you need to do more than a quick look or share, you would want to go to your site, Meetings, Completed, and select the meeting in question. Here, you will have more options to organize or edit the contents of the transcript and highlights. At the top here, I can go ahead and edit the name of this content. Maybe the content needs a more definitive title than the one I chose when making the meeting. For instance, we chose this to be a 2-week plan, so I can just go ahead and edit that there. I can then use the share icon where I can share the full contents out via email or Webex Space if I didn't need to edit the content. It gets loaded into the space, just like the recording I showed earlier. You hit the I to view or the up arrow to share further. Let's head back to the site. One of the first things you notice immediately is the word cloud. My whole meeting was based around me triggering the Webex command, so obviously that's going to be the largest word. Our customers will obviously do a lot more talking, and the true contents of the meeting will show up. On the right here, you'll see the full transcript. Highlighted in blue is the highlighted portion of the meeting, while the non-highlighting is simply everything else. As you can see with these 3 options, I can do things like highlight, de-highlight, play the audio of that transcript to be sure that's what was actually said, and if it was picked up incorrectly, you can edit the transcript. Lastly, on the review page, you can see options to download the full transcription in text or VTT files. Now, I feel pretty confident we all know what a text file is, but the .vtt may be new to some of you. The .vtt is kind of the raw formatting for captioning inside of a video. It's the file format in YouTube, Netflix, Vimeo, etc. Should you have a need to do custom video editing, you have the file format to add captioning to your video edit. However, that is definitely going to be a small set of usage. If you or your users accidentally download the .vtt file, no worries, it opens just fine in any text editor. Okay, I started on review as that is the default landing page when checking out meeting content. No way to change that right now. I'm going to breeze over recording and attendance tabs. These two tabs are fairly straightforward. Recording shows recording. You can select it to open it and do all the normal things you would with our recordings. Attendance is who is in the meeting. Since this was a meeting of me just talking to myself, it's a pretty short list. And of course, you can export it as needed. Now, onto the highlights, which should be the bread and butter of using our assistant to help with meeting efficiency. You had a meeting, a lot of stuff was said. If you're like me, you probably remembered about half of it. I can come here and simply scroll or even search for a specific highlight. Let's say I want to confirm what color scheme they wanted. I would type out the word color, and it looks like we made a decision that a bright color palette will be used. I can also do a simple filtering by type of highlight. If there is a lot to choose from, this will come in very handy. As the owner of this meeting, I can do a lot of the same editing as I could with the transcript. Play audio, edit, and delete. Pretty self-explanatory. If I didn't want to necessarily edit the highlighted comment, but I maybe wanted to add a side note to it, I can add a comment and drag it between the highlights to call something out if need be. When you select one or more highlights, the share and delete options come available. As I showed you before, you can send the whole thing in its entirety, and now this is the way you can section it out if you'd like. For instance, I might want to tell my colleague Michael Johnson to keep Mark, Marcy, and Nate on track, so I'll simply send him the tasks I doled out. And last but not least, this Webex Assistant icon is lit up. This is a very important aspect of the assistant's intelligence. As you saw in my voice command section, I said OK Webex to wake the assistant up to perform commands. You don't necessarily need to do this. Under the traditional command list, you can see there are specific keywords the assistant is listening for. They are categorized for what the assistant will assume them to be for. This option comes with three types of highlights: action item, decision, and note. The phrases that will trigger these types of highlights are over here on the right. Now, the assistant will log these as possible highlights, but will not add them to the list without your authorization. So you have to look at it as a, do I want to breeze over everything now and edit the highlights later, or do I want to trigger the assistant to log highlights as the meeting continues? And it can do both. As you can see here, I purposely said the first keyword's action item, and the assistant logged it. At this point, I can add one, multiple, all, or simply delete the recommendation. If I choose to make them a highlight, they get moved over to the highlights and I can edit them like any other highlight. They get put in the order they were mentioned. And that's it for now. Just keep up with the assistant as we have some upgrades coming down the pipe. We will have the ability to do things like auto send content to spaces and attach users to different highlight types so they receive those in the app or email automatically. Basically, a lot more auto magic coming soon. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed learning what the assistant is and how it works. See you next time.